I'm standing next to a second generation Rivian R1S. Now I know it looks very familiar, and a lot of people are wondering, why didn't Rivian just call this second generation a refresh? Well, that's because it's more than just a refresh. The vehicles may look very similar to the first generation R1T and R1S, but don't let that fool you. Rivian made a ton of improvements on the vehicles. And as an R1S owner, now that I see what they did, I'm kind of feeling a little jealous. These vehicles have new batteries that are more energy dense. There's a heat pump system. There's new interior options, new wheel options, a whole new computer that's 10 times more powerful than the one I have in my 2023 Rivian R1S, and a bunch of other features. I'm here at the launch event. Well, it's the media launch event for the second generation Rivian R1 vehicles. And I'm going to be able to speak with a few Rivian product specialists and let them explain why this is more than just a refresh, why it's truly a second generation, even though these vehicles have only been on the market for 2 years. So let's hop inside a Rivian R1S and let the Rivian product specialist explain why this is such a giant step forward for the R1 vehicles. All right, so I'm here with Greg Dachner, the vehicle line director for R1 at Rivian, and we're driving in a second generation Rivian R1S. It's very familiar to me because I own a first generation Rivian R1S. A lot of it's the same, but a lot has changed. You guys have improved a ton on this vehicle. I'm surprised so much. Usually you don't get that much improvement 2 years after the initial launch. So Greg, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do with Rivian, sure, and then we'll jump into talking about the upgrades.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm vehicle line director for R1. What that means is I'm essentially responsible for both the R1T, R1S, what the product line offers, engineering development to achieve that, and then really bringing that product to market. And as you've seen here, driving what all the innovation is throughout the generations of the product.
Yeah, and we're doing some really cool adventure here today, some off-roading as well as getting to drive on the road, which I do most of the time. One thing that I noticed, and we'll get into that in a minute, is the vehicle behaves so much better than mine on the road. And we'll talk about the suspension later, but the first thing that I want to talk about is in addition to all these, say, smaller changes, you made some big improvements and changes, options. Now, instead of just having a dual motor and the quad motor that I own, you added a tri-motor. So talk a little bit about the need to have a third powertrain and what's the difference between the three setups now?
Sure. Well, yeah, it's actually a third powertrain and then a refreshed quad motor. Mm-hmm. So the dual motor that is in this vehicle, the dual motor setup is Rivian's in-house drive units. There's one motor up front, one motor in the rear in this offering. And then this is the same basic powertrain offering that was in the previous generation that you probably have in your R1S. So, oh no, you said yours is
I have the quad. I have the first generation quad.
So the dual is general carryover powertrain, but now what we've brought in is both the tri-motor and then our quad motor, and that's Rivian's in-house developed drivetrain systems for the quad motor. Yeah. The tri has the two-motor drive unit in the rear and then the more efficient single-motor drive unit up front. So that's a really great balance of still maximizing range, but also having the higher power in the rear. And that offers some dynamic capabilities that are nice as well. And then the quad is, you'll get to experience that tomorrow at the drag strip, but that's an unbelievable high power offering, so that's super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, my quad is extremely powerful, but this takes it to the next level. 0 to 60 in what, 2.9 or?
No, so that's for tri is going to be in that range. For a quad, it's 2.5 seconds.
2.5, yeah. Wow. Yeah, and the quarter mile is 10.5?
Mm-hmm. We'll see that tomorrow.
Nuts. Yeah, no, we're going to be able to get on the track and do some quarter mile runs. But in addition to that, it's not just that they're more powerful. These new Rivian in-house motors are better motors, I would imagine, than what the first generation is with the Bosch, and they're oil cooled, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of optimization that goes into sizing, designing the motor for the right behavior for all of the drive scenarios, for efficiency, and then also we put a lot of effort into the cooling system there, and so you're really just always balancing the performance across the whole use range, and that's where that manifests in you have an efficient vehicle that can tow, that has great acceleration, has stable performance across temperature ranges. So there's a lot of engineering details that go into achieving that, but we put really all that great engineering work into both the dual motor configuration and then scaling up to tri and then quad, like I said, is really that top tier of ultimate performance.
Yeah, and now all Rivian motors are made in-house.
That's correct.
Yeah, and you also have new wheel options, I noticed, including like an aero wheel. Talk about the need to make all new wheels. The old ones seem nice to me. Is it just for better styling, or do they have improved performance?
A lot of it is styling. We wanted to refresh the product, refresh the wheel offerings, but that also came along with a new set of tire offerings as well. So we have a tire that is a little bit more balanced between off-road and on-road. So if you use your vehicle for some off-road purposing, but you don't need to be able to do like the most aggressive rock crawling, we have a tire that's a little bit more in the sweet spot for that. We used to have a range and a performance tire, and now we really merged the best of both of those worlds into a single 22-inch range tire that offers better on-road performance, but also still isn't as much of a sacrifice for range, and so that's a really great tire. Always improving things like the road noise that's coming, the noise and vibration, isolation you get from those tires, and then we've also on the high end of performance with our quad offering have a very high performance aggressive compound tire there to help with acceleration at those really extreme performances.
Okay, which we'll find out on the track tomorrow.
Yeah, great.
You talked about noise, vibration, and harshness, and NVH. So that's something that, to me, I think is the biggest improvement as a R1S owner. We'll get into the suspension next, but the ride quality and the quietness is markedly better. It's not a little better. It's a lot better. And that's my biggest complaint with my R1S, and my wife's biggest complaint too, is that, it's a little bit louder than some of our other electric vehicles, the wind noise, road noise, and also it doesn't have the smoothest ride. It's more bumpy than what we would prefer. So tell us a little bit about how you've accomplished those two things, the ride quality and also the NVH improvements.
Yeah, so for the ride, it's really we have a advanced suspension capability that has a lot of electronic controls of it, but then we also have great hardware that goes into the system. So it's not just software improvements, it's not just some of the isolation components like bushings, it's refinement of some of those, it's refinement of internal hardware within our suspension components like the damper. So it's really a holistic approach to achieving that ride improvement. But it's really a nice joining together of modifying software, tuning software, modifying hardware, tuning hardware. So all those together, really, it's a bunch of little components and changes that added up to that, but a massive improvement overall in ride quality. And it's not just ride quality, but also dynamic behavior. So you'll feel on curvy roads, on some of the off-road driving that we're doing, it's really a step change in all the dynamic performance. And that also couples with some noise improvements from suspension. Like I mentioned before, the tires also have some improvements in there. And then from a vehicle kind of noise transmission, from a wind noise perspective, this is a retooling and a re-architecture of our body structures and body components. And so when we shut down the plant just a few weeks ago and came out, that was bringing up our new body stamping, our new body joining. And what that ends up being is a lot of improvements to how air flows over the vehicle and air flowing over varied surfaces. That's one of the things that really ends up with great wind noise, with kind of vibration coming through the vehicle, and we've improved a lot of those systems. So it's improved from our body, from our suspension, to deliver that complete package that is a quieter, smoother vehicle. Yeah,
and it is. I mean, I can tell you a huge difference in the ride quality and also the quietness. I'm noticing a lot less wind noise around the windshield area. So good on you guys. You made super improvement. That's the biggest thing that I'm going to miss. I know it has more power, the quad, than mine. But to be honest with you, mine, you know, I think it was 836 horsepower, 908 pound-feet of torque. The original generation, that's plenty for me. That's enough. I would take more, but it's plenty. But this ride quality is so much better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing that I'm super jealous of is you put in a heat pump, and I wish I had one in my R1S. I live in northern New Jersey. It's not like Canadian winters, but it gets pretty cold, and I go up to Vermont a lot in the winter, so we lose some range. The heat pump's going to help it. So talk a little bit about that. That's a whole in-house design, and that's going to be on all the vehicles? That's
right, yeah. All Gen 2 Rivians are going to have the heat pump system, and it's really just a method to heat both the cabin and some of the other systems, like you know, you can transfer heat to the powertrain system and battery, but really with the advantage there is efficiency. It's the heat pump is pulling, you know, warmth out of the atmosphere to put into the cabin, as opposed to just taking the precious energy that's in your battery and turning that into warmth in the cabin. And so the way, you know, customers will see that is, just especially in kind of the ambient temperatures, not at those extreme Minnesota, Canada colds, we'll see a big improvement in real world range when you're using the heating system. And so, that's a big improvement. You know, we're always trying to increase efficiency. That's in electric vehicles especially, that's always the chase, is improving efficiency constantly.
And you guys do a good job at that. And now I notice you also are using new battery cells, more energy dense, right? I think from 5 amp hour cells to 5.3 amp hour cells. So the same size pack can now hold more energy. And you're also adding an LFP option, I guess, for the standard pack, on only standard pack dual motor, right? Gets LFP?
Right. Yep.
And do all standard pack dual motors get LFP, or do they have the option?
So standard pack is synonymous with LFP, and so our standard pack is lithium iron phosphate chemistry, and that's offering really like a more entry price point, but still for a great pack. So that pack still has between 258 to 270 miles of range. So it's still a really competitive range, but it's at a much lower price point, which is really helpful. And then, scaling up to our NMC chemistry, our cylindrical cell in-house developed pack, that's where we're getting into the large and max pack offering, and the max pack brings up into the, well into the 400 mile range.
Right, yes. I mean, it's not EPA range rated yet, right? But you're estimating it's going to be around 420 or something,
in the 420,
like that?
420 range.
That's pretty good. And how about for the large pack?
So that's going to come out a little bit later. That's not launching at the exact same time. And so that, I think we're still yet to announce the exact range of that.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about autonomy. It seems like you guys have made huge improvement in the autonomous driving systems. You've got a whole new computer, you added a camera. So now you have, 11 cameras and 5 radars.
Yeah, and the thing I would say is we put there's a huge step change in the sensing suite. So like you talked about, our radar systems, not just the number of cameras, but the resolution of those cameras allow you to really identify the field of what's in front of the vehicle. And then coupled with that, we have a new compute platform, which is, I think it's 10 times the computing power of the previous one. And that's really what autonomy is about. It's about having the right sensor suite to feed the information of what the environment that is surrounding the vehicle, and then the right compute platform to be able to process that. And so there's, a very, very impressive new hardware suite we have out, and then the new software that's ingesting all of that sensor and computing to set up the right behavior of the vehicle. And then that's something that allows us to continue to improve really long into the future, because when you have the hardware there, and I think everyone has seen that Rivian is always trying to bring new features and improve features to customers through OTA. So that's something that we'll also be able to improve in the future as well.
And talking about this new computer, I think we were told it can perform 250 trillion computations per second.
Yep.
That's insane. And the previous generation, although, like, let's say the computer in my R1S did about 35 trillion.
Yeah, it's something in that range.
Yeah.
It's about 10 times as many operations per
Yeah,
second.
or 25, right? So it's 10.
Yeah.
It's 10 times as many operations per second.
Yep.
And for those just wondering, well, how fast is that? What does it compare to? I think we were told that like a new kind of state-of-the-art computer, like desktop computer, can do around 30 or 35 trillion per second. So this is like 7 or 8 times more powerful than a new, state-of-the-art desktop computer, which is pretty wild. And I noticed now the screen, your information screen, it shows the cars are all around you, behind you, and everything. In my R1S, when I have it on, it just shows a few of the vehicles in front of me and to the front and side. But now you get the full view of all the vehicles around you.
Yeah, and so part of our 360-degree visualization is really with the sensor suite, and then the compute platform is looking, like you said, faster calculations, more computing of really modeling what the environment is all the way around the vehicle, especially in front of you. Mm-hmm. And so what that's going to manifest is better autonomy system, and then really like a more relaxed driving mode when you're on highway assist, when you're using the autonomy platform, getting to where you can put less of your energy into focusing on every detail of what's in front of you, and really enjoying the environment in the R1.
Okay, great. State of Charge is powered by Qmerit. After I've helped you decide which electric vehicle charging equipment you're going to buy, follow the link in the description of my videos and let the EV charging installation professionals at Qmerit install it. In addition to all of this cool technical improvements, there's also some visual improvements inside and outside of the vehicle. So maybe you want to talk a little bit let's talk about the inside first.
So yeah, one of the big things we're offering coming out a little bit later this summer is our Ascend trim, which is a premium trim, which is a lot of the components of the interior, and so that'll be premium surfaces that you're interfacing to, new colors, new wood trim, and that's also coupled with, I know we're talking inside, but a few additional paint colors on the outside. So a little better ability to configure what you like from an interior and exterior aesthetic perspective.
Are you dropping any paint colors?
Yeah, the big one, I think, it's really ones that people haven't been adopting very much, but Compass Yellow is one of them.
Which looks really cool, but I think you'd get tired of that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
As long as you don't drop the forest green, which both of my Rivians that I've purchased, I got in forest green, which looks so good on that vehicle.
Yeah, no, that's staying.
Yeah, so there's other exterior improvements or changes. I noticed you've got that digital light bar across the front with 10 segments, so you can see how charged the battery is.
Yeah. So both on the front and the rear of the vehicle, we have new light bar systems, and so yeah, you can see not just the animations for charging, which we have the ability to over-the-air update, but initially we'll have communication of what the charging profile is, and you can customize some of the things. But it also gives us the ability to set up future animations for whatever fun things we want to do, leveraging the new lighting hardware. So that's really exciting. One of the other technical advancements that we have there that's integrated into that hardware is an adaptive driving beam. So one of the things you want to be able to do is have your high beams on, right? But when the cars are coming away, you turn your high beams off. When the cars go away, then you turn your high beams back on. And what you really want to do is have the ability to have your high beams on, but just not shine them in the direction of where that vehicle's at. And so the adaptive driving beam actually has the ability to dynamically dim the parts of the light field that would be pointing at another driver. And so that means you can have better, at night times, country road, you have better view of the surroundings because of the high beam performance. But it's a really advanced lighting feature that it's one of those things that when you're driving at night, you just notice that you can see great. So that's exciting.
Very cool. Now, how about charging? Are there any differences in charging? I noticed that you didn't, which I've been calling for, you didn't upgrade the onboard charger. I wish you could offer an 80 amp onboard charging option for the big batteries, but I know you didn't, so we don't have to go there. DC fast charging. Are there any improvements in the charging, max charging rate, charging curve? How's the LFP pack going to charge? Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So because it's largely the same cell from our first, just with a slight capacity improvement, the general charging performance for the Gen 1 and versus Gen 2 Max Pack is going to be relatively similar. Because we have the heat pump system, we do have a good ability to control the thermal behavior of that, which we could in Gen 1 as well. But we have really charging a lot comes down to managing the thermal performance of the vehicle, or of the battery pack. So the Max pack for Gen 2 has a little bit of optimization in the cooling system there, and then that joins up with the heat pump to keep that thermally managed. The standard pack, the LFP pack, that also, if people are familiar with the previous charging performance for DC fast charge, that's charging at over 200 kilowatts as well for the peak charge rate. And so it'll be a generally similar charging performance to what the Gen 1 has to offer, but with some slight improvements for managing, really optimizing thermal performance of both the packs.
And for daily charging, I know Rivian recommends, I think you recommend to 70% for daily charging. Most companies recommend 80%, but that's fine. 70% with all this range is still plenty. But how about with the LFP pack? Are you going to say just charge to 100% every day?
We're still going to recommend not to charge to 100% every day. That can help, reduce the strain on battery packs, but the LFP is a little bit less sensitive to that, which is great. The thing that I think is going to be a good customer education is that LFP packs are a little bit more sensitive to low temperatures. And so one of the things with those packs is we'll probably coach users to keep the vehicle on plug in really cold environments, just to help manage take the energy from the wall and manage the pack temperatures.
Will there be any discussion upon, I know you could just order it online, but when somebody calls and speaks to a Rivian representative, would there be any discussion about that? Like, let's say they live up in, one of the northern states. Would you go as far as to tell the customer, perhaps where you live, it might be better to get the different chemistry rather than LFP? You might get better performance, or do you find that it's not that much of a difference that you wouldn't recommend against it?
I wouldn't recommend against it, because a lot of the effort we've put into, if you think about the effort and the advancement that Rivian has in our software platform, our in-house ECUs, developing the heat pump, like a big focus is our ability to control the vehicle to what we need it to do. And so I wouldn't steer anyone away from an LFP pack, because as long as, there's some knowledge about, like, let's keep the vehicle on charge at lower temperatures. We really handle in the background everything of monitoring the battery temperature, of optimizing the battery temperature, of conditioning that for what use case you need. So, we test these vehicles in all weather conditions, and so, like I said, that's one of the important things is always, us having that integrated powertrain and compute platform and software architecture and software platform. We can really manage the battery temperatures and conditions to what we need. So
that's fair. Listen, I think that's all I have here. Is there anything you wanted to add? Or did we get everything? Did I miss anything?
I think we've got most of it. The thing, I just want to say thanks, and then I also I'm glad that all of the many areas of the Gen 2 have delivered what feels like a comprehensive step change improvement to the product. So I'm glad you're excited about it.
Yeah, it absolutely has, and I'm going to get one out and drive a little bit more extensively by myself. But so far, I've driven in the vehicle now for about 2 hours, and it honestly feels like a different vehicle than my R1S. And that's surprised me a little bit here, but I think you made some super improvements, and thanks a lot for spending this time here talking to the audience. I appreciate it, Greg, and best of luck.
Absolutely, yeah, appreciate it.
All right, so I'm here today with a familiar face on State of Charge. Here with Wassym Bensiad, who is the VP of Software for Rivian. Wassym's been on State of Charge twice already when you guys have done software updates, and I always appreciate your time and your wealth of knowledge. You're one of the top guys in this field, in my opinion. Okay, so we're sitting in a Gen 2 R1S. I'm a little jealous because I own the Gen 1, as you know, and you guys made so many improvements, Wassym. This is for only 2 years on the market. To come out with something that it's like a new vehicle. It's not a refresh. It's like a new vehicle. I'm super impressed so far. So while I'm jealous, I'm happy for you guys. So let's talk a little bit today about what you do, software. You have a whole new UI here. Let's talk about it.
It's a completely new UI. Tom, first of all, really nice talking to you. We love everything that you do. Thank you for following us super closely. As a Gen 1 owner like you, I also want to buy my Gen 2. I mean, really awesome changes. As you have seen, the exterior of the vehicle is pretty much the same, but we re-engineered the guts of the vehicle. We made the vehicle better in pretty much every single aspect of the experience. We're here in a dual max with the new heat pump that we have introduced. The vehicle now is more efficient, so we can get up to 420 miles of range now with our dual max variant. Heat pump provides better comfort, better efficiency in winter. We also improved the suspension. Ride quality is better on the R1S. We re-engineered the vehicle so that you have more fun while driving, but then you also have better handling and then better ride comfort for all passengers. A lot of changes in the low voltage architecture and the network architecture. We consolidated multiple ECUs. This is helping us with lots of efficiencies, but we did it in a way where we're actually improving the experience for customers. There's much more compute in this vehicle. There's many more sensors. We have 10x AI compute. We have 8x ADAS camera resolution. We have 3x infotainment camera resolution, better colors, better low light performance. I mean, you can see it with really the lovely blind spot view, which is like one of my favorite features. And then on the theme of efficiency, we have improved the phantom drain. So this has been one of the topics that are really dear to my heart. We will continue doing software updates for our Gen 1 owners to improve that. On Gen 2, we have a much better architecture now, where we will be able to improve the phantom drain, not only when gear guard is off, but then when gear guard is on. We have what we call the mini DC-DC converter, and that allows us to have best in the industry phantom drain when the vehicle is sleeping. So changes all around the vehicle. The NVH is better. I'm sure you have noticed that we have less noise when the vehicle is driving. We have way better NVH as well when cabin comfort is on. Really much better experience in pretty much every single aspect of the vehicle.
Which is amazing to me. You really made so many changes. I really wasn't expecting this coming into this drive. But let's talk a little bit about the whole UI now. What is this? This is so different than what I see on my R1S. What did you do here? It's like a cartoon almost.
Yes. I'd love actually to sit here in the vehicle and just watch this camp mode animation. So this has been the result of a partnership that we have with Epic Games. We love working with Epic Games because Unreal Engine provides us really so much capabilities. What you see here is actually a vehicle 3D model. So you can see as I'm moving my two fingers, you see all these small subtle micro animations. When we go in dark mode, for example, at night, the entire scenery would change. So this is, we call this 3D cell shading. This is our design team really had lots of fun to imagine a new design language, which is now powering our UI aesthetics. You see the same, for example, here in drive modes. So I'm here in all purpose, same thing. You see these little animations which really add to the playfulness and joyfulness of the experience. That is something really important to us as we connect with our customers. And then you have the favorite gauge view that our customers love as usual, but then now you can enjoy really this view of the vehicle. And then as you change drive modes, obviously the animation changes. New aesthetics, really getting into our North Star of creating that playfulness, that really great connection with our customers. And this is really, like, you can see it as a foundation for a new language that we will continue to adopt throughout the entire UI. I mean, one of the other changes that I'm really happy with, as we're introducing now Gen 2, and our Gen 1 customers will have that as an over-the-air update as well, is the cabin comfort UI, the HVAC UI. One of the problems that I have every time I'm driving the vehicle and then my wife wants to change, she doesn't like reaching out to me. So now, if I'm a passenger, I have my controls right here, and then Tom, if you press there, then you take the control. And this is the small changes. We remove 1 click, 2 clicks, 3 clicks, which makes the experience way better for customers. Also, I had hard time finding how basically I can activate the mirror heat, and now we have that directly in the UI. Same thing, you can touch here a button and then you can activate the steering wheel heat. So it's one of those continuous improvements. As we get feedback from our customers, as we get feedback from you, from our other media friends, really constructive feedback, this is helping us make that experience better and better over time.
What's the A and the B there for?
It's a great question, and I think the reason that people are asking this tells me that we should probably change it to something more intuitive. So the whole idea is to have 2 presets. So one of them is diffused and the other one is more on your face, that you can actually change, and then you can save to your preferences. It's a way to manage multiple types of preferences per user. I can do the same as a passenger as well, but probably we need to change the naming A and B.
Yeah, but I like having that option because I would definitely use this. There's times I want everything blowing on me, and then there's times I don't. So I'd have the setting where it's focused on me and a setting where it's focused away, and I don't have to keep dragging them. So it's a good feature. But you're right, it isn't. Although I mean, you just do it once and you know what it is.
Exactly.
So I don't know how much effort you need to do in redesigning it, but it's a good feature.
Exactly, and there's as you log into your Gen 2 or later through an over-the-air update into your Gen 1, we will have a first-time user experience explaining that. But I always take it on myself. If I get a question from customers, it means that I did not do my job well in making the feature really intuitive.
To ask.
Yeah, exactly.
So Gen 1's going to get this. When can I expect this? Is there an ETA, or you're going to say at some point in the future?
Gen 1 will get the new UI in this month. It will be in the month.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. That's awesome. Yeah. I can't wait. That's a lot of fun. Yeah. How about the suspension? Can you give me the new suspension in an OTA update?
Unfortunately, no. I mean, we'll continue to update our damping here.
I'm really liking this new suspension.
This suspension is awesome.
And also the MVH, it's quieter. The vehicle's quieter than it was before, Wassym. You did a good job on that. It's I love my R1S, and I had the R1T. I love my R1T, but the one, if you want to say fatal flaw, was the driving comfort. It's not as quiet and as smooth as some of my other EVs were. And you've nailed it on this second generation, though. So I better not tell my wife. She better not watch this video because she might want me to trade it in on a new one. And
I have the same problem at home.
I'm sure I'll take a beating on that trade-in. So we won't let Meredith know about this because the driving comfort is really improved. I mean, as much as I ever remember a vehicle having improved driving quality, this is probably right up there with the biggest improvements I've felt on a next generation vehicle. So good news on that. Anything else on here you want to show us that you're proud of?
One of the areas that we massively improved is the cameras. So this is 3x resolution. It's also, it runs at 60 FPS. Actually, Tom, you can go probably to drive just in... Oops, we need the car, the key.
I think it's on the on top of the vehicle. It is.
All right. So one of the other improvements, we actually now have a much better wireless charger, and the NFC, you put it in a place which is much more intuitive. So this is also one of the other small changes. And now as you're in drive, you can press the turn signal, and you see this awesome camera. I mean, this is one of my favorite features. Now, as I'm driving, I mean, this is an absolute must for the overall experience.
Yeah, but we're not going to get this as an update.
We will get it in Gen 1, but the camera quality is very different.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm fine with my camera quality. This is better than my camera quality, but I would love to have that. And it's nice and big. I notice a competitor of yours does something similar to this, and they put it over here, and it's not intuitive to look at it. This is perfectly intuitive. When you put the right blinker on, it's right on your right side. You put left blinker on, it's right over here. So this is a great layout.
We spent a lot of time redesigning that layout, and really the Gen 2 cameras give it its full potential, because you could see even the brightness and the color. We choose the camera, we design them in a way where you can really have that great rendering experience.
Yeah, so that's really good. I love the bird's eye view is also really good. And it's all more crisp and clear than the previous. Even though the Gen 1 was pretty good. I mean, if you compare it to other vehicles, it was pretty good, but you've stepped it up with this for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Really, our challenge was, like, Gen 1 is an amazing vehicle. The challenge was, okay, we now need to make the vehicle incredible. Like, every feedback that you gave us, that our customers gave us, we acted on a lot of feedback through software updates. We still have a big roadmap in the pipe. There was other topics where really now this big technology upgrade, this big refresh is allowing us to really take it to the next level. Like, we're extremely, extremely proud with everything that we have done here.
Well, you should be. You make some great vehicles. You made them right out of the box, but you keep improving them. You do OTA updates. I get tons of OTA updates, which are always appreciated. My vehicle keeps getting better, which I'm really happy about. But this is next level. I'm super impressed. I'm happy for you guys, and keep up the good work. And thanks again for taking the time to sit here and talk with me. I always appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get you on the show again sometime soon when you have the next big update that you push out for Gen 1 owners. I'll see if I could grab you for 20 minutes again, and we'll do an online interview. But thanks for doing this here today.
Thank you, Tom. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, so as you could see, this wasn't just a refresh. Rivian really completely revamped the R1 vehicles. I mean, so many changes. The heat pump, the new drivetrain options, adding a tri-motor, the fact that they now use their own in-house motors for the quad motor variant, and it has, I think, 294 pound-feet of torque more, and I think 190 horsepower more. I might be slightly off with those numbers, but it has a lot more power. And with the quad motor system now, it does quarter mile in 10.5 seconds, 0 to 60 in 2.5, and 0 to 100 in 5.9, which is just nuts for, a pickup truck or 7-seat family hauling SUV. It's more than anybody needs. Quite honestly, the dual motor version is more power than anybody needs, but who am I to tell you how much power you need? It's always good to have a little bit extra. But I mean, in addition to the power, now there's an LFP pack option. There's the heat pump. There's new wheel options. There's new interior options. Oh, and another thing that I forgot to mention, the tri-motor and quad motor versions have an electrochromatic roof. So with the press of a button, you can darken the full glass roof and keep the cabin a little bit cooler. It's something that I really wish that I had on my R1S. But overall, you could see with all of these changes, Rivian has made these vehicles so much better. And in particular, in my time driving them here for the last 2 days, what I found to be the biggest improvement is the ride quality of the R1S. The R1T always had a better ride quality than the R1S. I think it was something to do with the wheelbase, and it just engineered slightly differently. But my R1S is definitely a bumpy ride. It doesn't really go over potholes and road irregularities as well as an expensive premium SUV should. Well, it does now. This new suspension and the tweaks that Rivian engineers have made, this now feels like a premium SUV. It's quieter. They reduced the NVH. Even on the highway, the wind noise is much less than it was than it is in my 2023 R1S. So I think that's honestly, even though there's so many improvements, some of the things are hard to quantify really. The heat pump, are people going to really notice 10 more miles of range in the winter? I mean, sometimes you will, but in most instances, that's not going to play into your usability that much. But the driving experience does every time you get in the vehicle. And this new suspension that Rivian's employing in the second generation R1 vehicles is so much better than what they had for the first generation. The new computing power, 10 times more powerful. And now you've got this 360-degree view. You can see all the vehicles around your vehicles when you're driving, whereas with my 2023 and the first gen R1 vehicles, you only get to see a field of view in front of you, the vehicle in front of you and a little bit off to the side. Now you get this 360-degree view, and this new computer is going to allow Rivian to continuously improve the system. It's kind of, they told us it future-proofs them. This computer is all they're going to need for the foreseeable future to add all kind of new improvements to their ADAS system. And you know, that's one of the things I think they need. I don't think Rivian was industry leading with their ADAS, at least in my experience with my vehicles. And this new computer is going to allow them to do a lot more things. It's got 11 high definition cameras, 5 radars. And as I said, the fact that it can perform 250 trillion computations per second, which is 10 times more than what the existing R1 vehicles computers can do. So that's a significant amount. And then the small upgrades like the new LED light bar in the front that has the charge percentage, the fact that it has 2 new interior options, which are pretty nice, just tells me that Rivian, even though this vehicle's only been on the market for 2 years, is constantly going to try to improve their vehicles, which, you know, most companies after 2 years would do a little minor refresh and just maybe change the fascia, give you a new color option and tweak a couple of things. That is not the case with the R1 vehicles. Rivian really completely overhauled the vehicles and made this second generation much better vehicles, not a little bit better, much better vehicles than first gen, which started off as pretty darn good vehicles. So I guess all that's left is to talk about the cost. The Rivian R1T is going to have a starting cost of $69,900, and the R1S starts off at $75,900. They're expensive vehicles, there's no doubt, and you can outfit them to go much higher than that, but you do get a lot for your money with Rivian. And if you have that type of money, if you play in that sandbox, I think the Rivian R1T and the R1S are vehicles you should take a look at, because they cost a lot, but they are really tremendous vehicles. I put them at the top of the class in their respective categories. And you know, I still own my first generation R1S. I'm very happy with it, but I tell you, this new second gen is making me think. Although I know I'd take a beating on the trade-in if I were to do that, the ride quality alone might be enough to make me see what it would cost to upgrade. Listen, if this is your first time here at State of Charge, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming electric vehicle news and reviews. And as always, thanks for watching.